Some moments divide your life into a before and after. A diagnosis is one of those moments. It changes the way you wake up, the way you breathe, the way you think, and the way you understand yourself. For many survivors, the most powerful part of the journey isn't just the treatments, the procedures, or the appointments. It's the transformation that happens inside the mind. A shift so deep and life-altering that it changes how you see your body, your future, and your own place in this world. Today, you'll step into the mindset shifts that don't just help survivors get through the journey, they empower them long after the hardest days are over. Because survival is not just a physical process, it's a mental rebirth, a reinvention, a reclaiming. And it all begins with changing the way you think. The shift from why me to how do I move forward. In the beginning, fear and disbelief sit like heavy stones on the heart. The question, why me, becomes a thought that loops without pause. It's a question born from shock and pain, and it's natural. Anyone would ask it. But as time passes, survivors often discover something profound. Why me? Has no answer. But how do I move forward? Has 1,000 possibilities. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It arrives after moments of frustration, moments of silence, and moments where the world feels unfair. But when it finally comes, everything changes. Suddenly, the focus isn't on blame or confusion, it's on action, on healing, on choice. How do I move forward? Opens doors. Why me? Keeps you trapped. And though both questions may still appear, survivors begin choosing the one that empowers them. That mindset shift becomes the first step out of emotional paralysis and into self-trust. The shift from feeling powerless to recognizing inner strength. Cancer often takes away the illusion of control. Suddenly, your body is examined, scanned, tested, and treated. Decisions are made quickly. Plans change without warning. You're placed in unfamiliar environments where your future feels like it's in someone else's hands. It's one of the most vulnerable experiences a person can face. But then, something remarkable happens. Even in the middle of uncertainty, survivors start noticing how unbelievably strong they are. Not because they wanted to be, not because they asked to be, but because they had no choice but to discover what they were truly made of. It shows up in the way they show up for appointments despite fear, in the way they keep going on days when exhaustion feels endless, in the way they allow themselves to cry, rest, breathe, and still rise again. This mindset shift isn't loud. It grows quietly until one day they look back and say, I can't believe I survived that, but I did. And that realization becomes a lifelong source of power. The shift from battling the body to working with it. One of the hardest parts of cancer is feeling betrayed by your own body. The body that carried you, protected you, and allowed you to live suddenly becomes the very source of danger. It's natural to feel anger, frustration, and fear toward it. But over time, survivors begin learning a gentler truth. Healing requires reconciliation. Instead of seeing the body as an enemy, they begin seeing it as a partner wounded, exhausted, but still trying. Treatments may be hard, but the body is working with them. Side effects may be brutal, but they're signs of the fight inside. This mindset shift becomes a form of self-compassion, a way to offer kindness to the body instead of resentment. When survivors talk to themselves differently, feeding their body with gentler thoughts, more patience, more gratitude, it begins to feel less like a battlefield and more like a collaboration. Healing happens faster when you're not at war with yourself. The shift from isolation to connection. Cancer can feel like the most isolating experience in the world. No matter how much support surrounds you, the internal emotional weight feels deeply personal. It's easy to retreat, to shut down, to feel like no one could possibly understand what's happening inside your mind. But every survivor eventually discovers something powerful. Connection is not just comforting, it's healing. The connection might come from a friend, a nurse, a support group, another patient sitting quietly in the waiting room, or someone online who shares their story with honesty. Suddenly, they realize they're not walking this road alone. This mindset shift deepens resilience. It brings warmth into cold moments. It transforms loneliness into unity. And it reminds survivors that strength grows when shared. The moment you open the door to connection, healing speeds up. The shift from fear of the future to trust in the present. Before diagnosis, life feels predictable. You plan months ahead, you schedule routines, you assume tomorrow will look a lot like today. But cancer shatters that illusion instantly. The future becomes blurry, uncertain, sometimes frightening. One of the most empowering mindset shifts survivors experience is learning how to live inside the present moment. Not the entire journey, not the entire year, just today. Today's breath, today's comfort, today's progress, today's relief, today's courage. This shift doesn't erase fear, but it shrinks it. It takes fear from a mountain to something more manageable. Survivors describe this shift as a return to life, a way to finally feel grounded again. The present moment becomes a safe place to rest. The shift from I have to be strong to I'm allowed to feel everything. One of the most painful pressures survivors face is the expectation to be strong at all times. People say it with good intentions, but the weight of those words can be suffocating. Some days are not strong days. Some days are crying days. Some days are resting days. Some days are grieving days. And that doesn't make someone weak, it makes them human. This mindset shift is liberating. Strength is not the absence of emotion. Strength is feeling the emotions fully and continuing anyway. Survivors learn that vulnerability isn't something to hide, it's something to honor. Showing pain doesn't take away their warrior spirit, it proves it. The shift from survival mode to meaning-making. There comes a time after treatment when survivors look back and wonder what it all meant. The medical part may have ended, but the emotional journey continues. Many survivors describe a mindset shift that feels like they're reconstructing their identity from scratch. Suddenly, life becomes too important to waste, too precious to ignore, too short to fill with things that don't matter. This shift leads to new boundaries, new goals, new relationships, and new priorities. Survivors often find themselves pursuing passions they once buried, appreciating moments they once rushed through, and valuing people they once took for granted. The experience becomes more than survival, it becomes a profound awakening. The shift from resisting change to accepting transformation. Cancer changes everything physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. But the most empowering mindset shift is acceptance of this transformation. Survivors stop trying to go back to who they were before, because that version of them no longer exists. Instead, they step forward into a new identity, stronger, wiser, more compassionate, more present, and more aware of their own resilience. They learn to embrace their scars, their fears, their victories, and their rebirth. This shift is not about glorifying the struggle, it's about honoring the transformation. The shift from viewing treatment as punishment to seeing it as a lifeline. At first, treatment feels like intrusion. Needles, scans, surgeries, medications. It feels harsh, frightening, and overwhelming. Survivors often feel like treatment is something happening to them. But the mindset shift occurs when they realize treatment is happening for them. It's not punishment, it's protection, it's care, it's an act of survival. This shift turns fear into gratitude. Not gratitude for cancer, but gratitude for the tools that help defeat it. Treatment becomes something to endure with purpose, not dread. And that change in perspective reduces emotional suffering dramatically. The shift from feeling broken to embracing wholeness. Cancer can make survivors feel fragmented, physically altered, emotionally stretched, mentally exhausted. Many feel like parts of themselves are missing. But then comes the realization. Brokenness is not the end. It's the beginning of rebuilding. Survivors eventually understand that they are still whole, just shaped differently. Their scars, their experiences, their victories, and their fears all weave into a version of themselves that is complete, even if imperfect. Wholeness is not about untouched skin or a flawless journey. Wholeness is about embracing every single part of yourself with honesty and love. The shift from hoping to believing. This is one of the most profound shifts of all. At the start, hope feels fragile. It feels like a thin thread holding you together. Survivors hope treatment works. Hope results improve. Hope the pain gets easier. Hope the future becomes possible again. But over time, hope evolves into something stronger: belief. Belief not in perfection, but in possibility. Belief not in certainty, but in capability. Belief not in guarantees, but in resilience. Belief not in, what if everything goes wrong, but what if everything goes right? That shift strengthens the heart in ways nothing else can. The shift from surviving to living fully. The greatest mindset shift survivors experience comes after everything is over, the moment they reclaim their life, not as a victim, not as a patient, not as someone defined by illness, but as someone who is alive with purpose. They begin to dream again, plan again, laugh again, love again, believe again, live again. The journey changes them, but it doesn't end them. And the shift from merely surviving to fully living is the final step toward empowerment. Every mindset shift in this journey is like a small light in a long tunnel. One mindset won't transform everything at once, but together they build strength, hope, and resilience that lasts long after treatment ends. If you're walking this path right now, remember this: you don't need to adopt every mindset at once. Even one shift can change your entire emotional landscape. You're evolving, growing, learning, and becoming someone braver than you ever imagined. You're not just surviving, you're transforming, you're rising, and your journey is far from over. Whenever you're ready for the next script, topic, or continuation, just tell me.